Hey, everybody, this is Ariel Katz, am I correct?
Yeah.
And he's from the state of Israel, also known as the country of Israel. Would that be correct as well? So he did a lot of driving to get here this morning in the night. And I'll let you, and your name is a little more difficult. Olfert, very common spelling of that as well.
Just a common joke, you know.
So anyway, we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much. So we are very excited to be here today. Thank you for inviting us. And what we would like to actually share with you today is the product that we call the Warrior. The Warrior is a portable blood and IV fluid warmer. And we'll go through a more detailed training of this product. So at the end of whatever time you allow us, we'll be able to certify each of you to be operated of this product. Maybe a little bit of history to that product. It was actually invented by two elite unit paramedics in the Israeli Defense Forces that were not happy with pre-hospital warming solutions. And they were searching, I would say, for 20 years for a solution that would allow to warm blood and IV fluid in pre-hospital settings. And eventually they came into something. They worked separately, but they met 8 years ago, established this company, came with very innovative technology as to how you can effect in a safe, immediate manner, immediate warming even at high flow rates of trauma requirements. And all the rest is history. Company established in 2008, operating out of Israel. We are based in Kibbutz Einat, for those who know Israel a little bit. It's a little bit east of Tel Aviv. I'm one of the early founders of the company. I'm serving the company as responsible for business development, for commercialization of this technology. We are in the market for the past, I would say, since early 14, so it's already 3.5 years. Our main customers are in Israel and Europe. We got our FDA permit late last year, and ever since we established customers like yourself that are actually very happy with the product. It's coming from trauma centers, from EMS services, from helicopter emergency medical services, and definitely from military, which is very happy with the solution. What this solution actually allows, and we'll demonstrate it in a second, is to take, and again, based on the technology that we are using, to take really, really cold fluid. We don't care what is the temperature of the fluid. So in that respect, you can be very, very comfortable when using the product. As long as it flows, the system knows how to handle it. And it can handle really high flow rates. So the moment you take fluids into this system in a very safe manner, and within seconds, typically around 10 seconds, the fluid will get into body temperature at the flow rates that you desire, and you can administer it to patient in a very safe and straightforward fashion. Only one button, not difficult to operate. So why do we need 1 hour? Because there is a little bit of setup and understanding and troubleshooting to understand, but other than that, it's only one button, gravity feed. The system will adjust itself to changing flows, to different things that might happen to you when you operate the device. And maybe enough too much talking about it in general, and we can get into the details. Ofek is our product specialist, and he will go through the product and the component. We have a deck, but I feel that it will be a little bit counterproductive to show a deck because the screen is a little bit too small. Maybe we'll use it for particular parts, but we'll go through our deck, and we will definitely send you the digital copies after the session today. Any question before we move on? Is there any time limitation that we should be aware of?
The room is occupied again, I think, at 10:30.
10:30.
Or 11.
Okay, okay, please.
Hello. Hi. I'm Ofek.
Okay.
I'm the product specialist, as Ariel mentioned. I'm also a former medic in the Israeli Defense Force. I already have a hospital experience, both in oncology and emergency departments. I know a little bit of the business, but this is now my little baby. So let me introduce you to the Warrior. It's no one of them? Okay, so let me just, okay, so again, the general description, we already talked about it. This is a blood and fluid warmer. It's going to take near freeze temperature fluids all the way up to body temperature in a matter of seconds. Pretty much any flow rate, mainly dedicated for trauma, so we're talking about high flow rates. So you'll be able to see in a few seconds how it works. Other than that, I also want you to see the components. After that, we'll see how you prepare the device, how you operate the device, troubleshoot it, and just briefly how to maintain the device itself. Okay, so again, just briefly about the components themselves. Over here you have the base unit. This is the brain. Over here you've got the heating algorithm. This is the prediction algorithm. This is the component responsible for all the calculation and making the device safe for use, so it will never overheat or underheat. Again, this is the brain itself. Over here you can see there's not a lot to it. You've got the cable over here. Okay, this is the communication line with the disposable unit over here. And also you've got the on and off button, very simple. This is just to be a little bit impressive. It got inspired from Apple. So this is the button. It also resets the system, but hardly used. This is the one you use pretty much all the time. Over here you've got the battery. This is a medical grade battery, high capacity battery. The reason it is a high capacity is because if you want to deliver warm fluids and blood at high flow rates like this, and also a big amount of fluids, you'll need something like this. A fully charged battery will give you between 3 to 5 liters. Now, this is not a time battery, okay? It's not time dependent, it's volume dependent. Okay, 3 liters if you're administrating fluids at 4C, this is roughly the temperature of blood. And if you administrate intravenous fluids, we're talking about 15 to 20C, it will deliver you 5 liters of fluid. And this is the battery itself. Could I just the disposable? Thanks. Over here you can see this is the disposable unit. Okay, this is one patient use. Okay, it's per patient. It's not a single use. As long as you administrate it to the same patient, you can keep on using it. As you can see, it also comes in sterile casing. It might look a little bit flimsy. Okay, like styrofoam or something like this.
Also, we can do it.
So yeah, as you can see, again, it's very, very sturdy. This is the, let's say, the technology, the main technology of the system itself, but this is where the heating happens. Also, it has high isolation, so you won't see any kind of heating escaping to the environment or any kind of temperature interfering with the heating itself. This is pretty much it about it. One more thing I want to show you is also the lure connectors. Just standard lure connectors. You can screw it in, you can push it in. Okay, any kind of Velcro will fit, no problem at all. Also, we've got the charging apparatus. The charger itself is pretty standard. The only thing you need to know this is just you have a connector to the battery itself. Only one right way to apply it. Okay, that's pretty much the entire the idea behind the system. There's only one right way to do everything, any kind of step. So very simple to both use and also to prepare for use. Okay, so we're talking about preparation for use. I also want you to see how easy it is to make the system ready for use. The base unit over here, as you can see, it has the latches. Okay, you need to hold it upside down like this. Okay, just so the latches won't get in the way. You take the battery. As we said, only one right way to do pretty much everything. Okay, matching 2 labels. Very simple. Small push, and the latches are on. Okay. After that, as you can see, let me just let me demonstrate it like this. You've got, as we said, the communication line between the brain itself to the heating apparatus. It's also very easy. You just open it like this. You've got protrusions on both sides. Okay, again, just one right way to do it. No need to worry about it, and you just connect it, and that's it. Okay, and you're pretty much ready for use. Again, the protrusions are over here for if you're dealing with a lot of blood, or you're doing any kind of night operations or something like this. You can just feel it. Very, very easy to use. Just the one thing I do want you to really take from the preparation for use, because again, If you struggle with it, you just need either to give it a small 180 degrees spin, nothing too complicated. But again, the thing I want you to take from it is you always flush the system itself. Okay, this is the extension of your line over here. There's about 50 mLs inside of it. Okay, don't worry if the fluids aren't coming out in a second. Okay, we already flushed it. Let me just demonstrate it real quick.
Hey Mark, can I just get that trash can?
And as you can see already, no air inside of it. And now you're ready for use. Oh, thank you. Okay. Do we have any kind of questions so far about the company, the products, the components? You can also, if you want to, get a little bit of a feel for the components themselves.
Do you have to take it apart to charge it, or can you charge it together?
The charge when it's connected already?
Yeah, can you charge it when it's connected?
No, because as you can see, you've got the connector over here. This is the one that connects to the device itself, to the brain, and it's also the one that is in charge of the charging. This is where the adapter
Okay,
goes.
so they can't be together.
Yeah.
That's why I
Can you just show the Continuum of Care, maybe? Later?
It's not,
Okay.
Can I add a few things?
Of course.
Can you show us how you load up the tubing and
yeah, of
the
course.
disposable device and all of that? How you know,
So,
before you
yeah,
prime and
that's probably
everything?
one of the things you wanted to say. The disposable device, okay, disposable unit, it's mounted that way with a protrusion going out, okay, facing out, but you don't have to connect it that way, okay? If you need a little bit more room, the cable over here is also an extension for you. You can either use this like this and let the base unit be a little bit closer to the physician, to the caretaker. Again, it's free positioning. It's like it just adapts to everything. Also want you to see.
And all the tubing is just part of that piece? Like there's no hooking any, okay.
Nothing.
So maybe, yeah, go ahead.
So with the disposable portion, you could keep the blood on that and swap it to a different unit,
That's
correct,
actually
without having to reset anything?
yeah. That's actually one of the novel innovations with this product is the Continuum of Care. Okay, we'll discuss a little bit more about it later. We will also have a chart for it. But the thing is, let's say that you have this one on your helicopter. Okay, this device over here, and also one device in the hospital. Okay, what you need to do when you get to the hospital, just disconnect the disposable unit from the base unit, and you just take the IV bag or the blood bag, okay, with the disposable unit, and just connect it to the other unit. So it's very easy. The handshake is very, very easy with the hospital. If you're talking about point of injury to the form of transportation, it's always very easy to do the transition. And also, of course, you save on cost with the disposable unit because you can use it all through the Continuum of Care.
And then, so what's the maximum flow rate on this?
Well, the system, if you administrate fluid at 4C, okay, again, blood, you'll be able to administrate at 200 mLs at full potential, which means 4C all the way to 38C. But if you administrate fluid, okay, which again comes at about 20C, you'll be able to administrate 290 at the full potential, okay, all the way up to 38C.
Can I
Per
comment
minute?
a little bit?
How many mLs per minute,
I mean,
or?
there is distinction between how much fluids you can push through the system and how much fluids we can commit to you that we can warm. So let's talk about the warming capability of the device first. So the warming capabilities of this unit, if you take it for the full range from 4C, about 40 Fahrenheit to body temperature, is 200 milliliter per minute on battery. Okay, so you can work up to 200 milliliter for the full range. But if you're not working on full range, which means the fluid are coming in a little bit warmer, then you can do more than that. You can maybe do close to 300 milliliter per minute. Now about pushing the fluids, saline is no problem. I mean, all these crystalloids are going very, very fast. Sometimes blood can be difficult to administer, requires a pump. I don't know to which level you set the pump, but this we support the same pressure that all the line is supporting. So as much as you could, it's 300 mercury, whatever. So we support this measure as well, so we can push as much as needed. In our lab, we meet with pressure bags about 150 milliliter per minute for blood. So that's in terms of pushing very thick fluids inside the thing. Okay. Does it answer your question?
It does.
I have a question on that. So you said from a flow standpoint, to warm it, you can get, you're starting off with cold blood, you can go 200 milliliters per minute.
Mm-hmm.
But with a pressure bag, with a flow, and with cold blood, it's really only going to be 150? Or
No, I'm just saying what we measure. No, we can do, if you
Okay.
can push 200 milliliter of blood, we
Yeah.
can handle it.
Okay.
That's really the flip side of what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
But what we know is that blood sometimes tend to be a little bit more difficult to push. But if your pump is capable of pushing it, this system will handle. There is additional twist
So
to
what
that.
pump would I be using to push it?
Your standard pump.
We won't use pumps, we'll use
Pressure
pressure
bag.
bag.
Gravity.
Oh, pressure bags.
Pressure bag.
Pressure bags.
Oh, pressure bags, yeah.
So if I put up a 300 millimeter mercury pressure bag, and I've got 4 degrees Celsius blood, how much flow can I expect that I can get if I want maximum flow?
No, is it diluted red cell blood?
No.
Not diluted. So it will be anywhere between 100 to 200, depends on the specific characteristic of the bag.
Okay. Thank you.
And I would say more than that, if you go into the AC, the hospital setting, then we have an adjustment to connect it to power supply, not yet available in the US, but will be available in a few months. There, the warming capability increases and it gets up to 300 milliliter per minute.
With the cord.
Okay, so
With if it's plugged in.
If it's plugged in, yeah, with AC. With access to the wall, with feeding. Yeah.
And why is there a difference?
Oh, because the capacity, it's a warming capacity, it's not a flow capacity. The flow remains the same, right? So the warming, the AC is more stable in terms of providing the power source, so you can achieve a higher warming.
So with this cord that you guys are going to be coming out in a few months, will we be able to charge with that cord?
Come again, sorry?
So I'm just thinking, I'm imagining we're to keep this in the helicopter. Most of our equipment is plugged in and charging it all the time, so it's ready. The way that we're going to get this is we're going to have it disassembled in the aircraft in order to charge it. So with the cable you're talking about, will we be able to keep it assembled and charged?
That's not for helicopters. I mean, that's AC for powering the system, not for charging the battery.
We're plugged into AC power when we're
So
on the helicopter.
actually, it goes in a way that you plug out this base unit and put it inside a case and start inside a case that is connected to AC, and that's how you move.
Oh, so it's more equipment. It's
Can
not
we
more
swap
cable.
batteries? It's a hospital.
Like our
It's a
monitors?
swap.
We swap batteries or something?
Yeah, well, when I'm carrying extras, old batteries.
So this is basically a coil in there that does resistance heating through a coil inside.
What's my idea to take that battery out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the
my
ingenuity,
vent
and I'll try not to confuse you, but this white thing, think of it exactly as this white thing here. This is a new disposable a component that we will be introducing to the market. The only difference is that it is smaller. Other than that, it operates exactly the same. The reason I'm showing it because I can open it and show that actually what we are doing technology-wise, we are uniting the heating element with the channel, with the line. And in this way we achieve a lot of efficiency in our warming. And that's a prototype. This is actually a completed unit that will be marketed very soon if we pass it along. Same performance as this one.
So the diameter of the heating coil is about the same diameter of the IV tubing?
Is roughly the same.
Okay.
Is roughly the same. Yeah. And the technology between this one and the small version are exactly the same. The coil is the same size, everything is the same, only the turn of the coil inside the unit is slightly different. Okay. And just a couple of more comments about this component. So it's very sturdy, and Ofek showed it, and it's very light as well, and one important trait that it has, the thermal performance is superb. So when we eventually the heating is taking place here, not here. It's confusing, but the heating will take place here. But when you try to touch it, you will not be able to feel any difference between this temperature of this unit and the ambient. I will show it in a couple of minutes.
What's that material?
That's it's called EPP. It's a special polymer that is being used inside helmets or in small aircraft without pilot. They use it because it's very light and robust.
Okay. EPP.
EPP.
How long does it take to charge the battery after you run several liters through it?
Well, fully discharged battery will take about 4 hours to fully charge again, all the way up for the full capacity of 3 to 5 liters. I just want to summarize just the disposable unit. Any kind of flow-related question, okay? Just this is an extension for your line. Anything you can push through the line, will be able to push over here in the disposable unit. And you also had a question about if you can charge it in the helicopter. The thing about this, usually when you get the system itself, you get 2 different batteries. So what you do is you have one mounted on the helicopter already with the battery inside, and another battery in the storage already charging. Okay, so the neat thing about the batteries, you can keep them charged and you don't need to disconnect them. You can just keep them charged, let it go more and more and more. You just came back from an operation, you take the battery you already have mounted, you charge it, and you just do the swap. Okay, so it's like, again, very, very easy. You're always, pretty much always our charge battery.
Is there any way from storing the battery, maybe you said there's already, and having it on charge? You know, some batteries you want to drain them every once in a while completely,
No,
and then recharging.
no.
Doesn't
Right.
change
No,
the
no, no,
duration, the longevity of the battery at all?
No, it's a lithium-ion battery that lasts for 300-400 full cycles, and you can charge it anytime. We recommend to keep it charged because there is a drainage. I mean, over time you don't want to get it into a locked position, but other than that, you can no limitations on full.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Come again?
So it will drain the battery if it's not used for
6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so a really long period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we recommend, every 3 months to
Okay.
recharge it.
The full extent of the recommendation is actually, just as I said, you always have a battery mounted, okay, and another one charging, so the swap is always happening, you always are charging the battery. If you're not using the device for some reason for 2 months, 3 months, something like this, just recharge it and do the swap again, and that's it. This is like the full extent of the maintenance of the unit itself, so once you've got this checked out, you don't have to worry about any kind of maintenance further down the line.
Sorry, just to complement my answer to your question, Dr. Hutchison, then it's important for the team. If you take a completely exhausted battery and you don't charge it, then 3 months will not do. It will die faster. So if you use the battery completely, don't wait more than a few days to recharge it. Otherwise, 2 weeks, but don't wait 3 months because. Okay.
Yeah, it's just again getting the habit of just once you use it, just recharge it and that's it.
Can you check your battery to see if it's fully
If it's-
charged?
yeah.
Is there a diagnostic?
Yeah,
on
you'll
it?
be able to see, actually, I want to give you a quick demonstration, if you don't mind. I need a volunteer. Do you want?
Yeah, go Nick, go. Go Nick, go.
You asked the question. You don't want.
All right, that's what you get for asking the question.
That'll teach you.
Okay, so we'll just, again, we'll just flush the system. Even though we already flushed it, I just want to show you how it is. Yeah. So again, you just need to connect the disposable unit. Now the communication, right, is established. Here we go. We just take the outlet, the outlining, you flush it. That's it. You can see no air, no bubbles, no nothing.
So you flush it before you turn it on, or can you turn it on and then flush it?
Yeah, you flush it before you turn it on, just because the system, as Ariel said, it's there to measure the flow. Okay, once there's air inside of it, the system gets a little bit confused, but it will give you an indication right away. You just need to flush it.
Flush first. Okay.
Yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn on the system.
Why, you offer let him feel the fluids that they are cold for us.
Yeah, position, yes.
So we got
Almost
some
sweet.
ice. I want to convince you that the ice is
Some
real.
ice.
Yeah. So again, we'll try to simulate blood. We'll try to get 4C. Go ahead, get it. Tell them it's cold.
It's cold.
It's cold.
Thanks, Vanna.
So now we're turning on the system. In this time, it's not heating quite yet. It's just doing initializing. It's checking if everything is okay with the connection. There you go. And I just need your finger.
Anybody waiting time?
Yep, let's start with the one. Now it's hot.
Now, as you can see over here,
Just
just checking.
Trust issues. Trust issues.
Ronald Reagan, trust but verify.
I was just gonna say. That's a military thing.
Okay, so as you can see over here, you can tell the audience, we've got the incoming temperature, it's 6 C, okay, and outgoing temperature is 38 C. One neat thing about the system, it's always communicating with the caretaker. I also want you to touch the disposable unit.
Yep, it's cold.
Again, no heat. So again, ambient, you don't have any kind of heat escaping to the environment. And also, once you kink the system, the line, I want you to tell the audience what's
Change in flow. Yep.
So you got the change in flow indication. This usually means it's either a kink in the line, any kind of air bubble, backflow. Again, the system will communicate with you if anything is just even starting to get on. That's it.
Is it possible for us to run some air through it and see what happens?
Air through the system now.
Yeah, you'll have the system, you can play with it as much as you want.
Yeah, just
Okay.
feel free. And again, it's very sturdy. It doesn't
Probably
show.
what's going to happen if you run air, it will tell you if it's a significant bubble.
Here's a towel right here.
It was getting a bit warm.
Good towel.
It's cold. Yeah, a hole in that thing. I'll get some more ice.
There's evidence of that, yeah.
Okay, so in other words, if it
Ego.
would suddenly, if flow with blood was suddenly to stop, it is not going to coagulate and cook the blood in the resistance coil, is it?
So no, that's exactly the point. Now there is no flow, the system identifies and stops. So the message, change in flow is actually a message, I'm not warming, I'm not doing anything now. That's the equivalent of that. And the unique thing about the technology, if you think about it, the temperature
This is
of
malfunction.
the coil is always the same temperature as the fluids that are coming in. So that's the way the technology works. So when it comes in, the coil is at 4C and the blood is at 4C. When it goes out, the coil is at 38 and the blood is at 38. In other words, there is no thermal impact. It's always kind of the gradual increase in temperature of the blood over 220 centimeter long coil.
Is it inductive? How's it heated?
So it's heated on, actually we connect the energy source directly to a stainless steel coil, and the current is creating actually resistance.
So it's a resistance heater?
It's a huge resistor, yeah.
Not induction or microwave?
No induction. Well, it is some family of induction, but not microwave.
So,
All right. Okay.
Hey, so, question. So when it's, so there's an audible alarm, and I can read, there's an audible, I can hear an alarm when something malfunctions. I can read it, but there's no big red light. So if I've got multiple patients I'm taking care of, wouldn't it be helpful to have like a little red light that flashes and shows me that I don't have flow going through?
When you get the malfunction, you'll be, well, now we can't really show that, but there's different volumes for any kind of audio.
Right, but on a helicopter, no matter what the volume is, these guys are going to hear it.
Yeah.
So we have no red light configuration as of today.
So all the DoD, the U.S. Department of Defense stuff, one of the things we've been pushing is how to recognize that your device is having a problem, because we lose that audio capability. So if I had a little red flashing light or something, that would help me. And then again, I'd want to see it from wherever I am in the helicopter, so maybe having it sticking up
Reflective.
high or some way so it reflects and goes different directions. But I'd want to be able to see it from different points of view. I mean, if I only have one patient, maybe it's not a big deal, but with multiple patients.
Well, the thing I can say about that is, from my experience so far, the disposable unit, okay, it's either mounted like this, okay, so if it is like this, again, it's like you said, you won't be able to see like a red flashing light or something. But if you get the disposable unit a little bit closer to the patient and the base unit closer to you, so let's say you're taking care of another patient, okay, but the base unit is close to you, you'll always be able to just monitor it, okay? Even if you check it once in a while, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, but I think it's a good comment to take on to our
Definitely.
product team. I have to say that this is an opposite comment. It's correct comment, but always we get the reverse comments. We don't want light, we don't want sound. We
Well,
want.
so,
We do in the helicopter.
so if you look at
Depends on the
some of the
application.
monitors that the Department of Defense has worked with, and again, this isn't necessarily the same Department of Defense audience, but if you look at the department, we have the capability to turn that light off or leave it on. So you can go to IR or infrared or whatever, so you can only see it with like night vision goggles or,
Yeah,
I mean, there is capability to switch it from visual light to a different light.
Yeah.
But like all of our monitors have that capability now in them.
With the transition to infrared and that, yeah.
Well, or at least have a warning light,
The
because we
blinker.
can't see, you know, and you want to be able to see the thing, because I'm not going to be able to hear.
That's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. Okay.
This screen isn't night vision goggle certified, is it?
No, we're
No.
not certified at all.
Okay.
Oh, that close too, if it's gonna be sitting next to you, you're gonna look around.
Yeah, you're gonna look under your goggles, because your goggles are set for.
No, but like, what I'm worried about is if we get a ramp check and some jerk from the FAA says, well, this is illuminating your cabin too much and it's gonna mess with your goggles.
Neither are IV pumps either.
Oh, they're not either? Okay, good enough. Cool, good.
So one of the questions, Ryan, was there that day, and, you know, where are we gonna mount this thing in the helicopter?
It's gonna be mounted on the med wall.
Okay.
Behind.
Tim's working on that.
Okay.
So that leads into the question I had, are there any contraindications to adding an extension onto the lure
Right.
lock?
No.
Yeah.
No, you can add any kind of extension door.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing you need to consider is once you know the eating ends over here. So if you add
I
like
know.
3 meters of extension, you lose a little bit. But again, it's a helicopter. I've seen your helicopter. You don't really need like 3 meters or something. Like that.
Yeah, I imagine we'll need another 1.5 feet,
Mm.
because that's a 2-foot extension, so.
And we can use any type of extension. We can use our standard issue extension. We don't need to buy extensions.
As long as it can connect to the connector over
And
here.
and that's a twist lure lock. It's
And you
not-
can also
Half-sets
push
won't
it.
first flow.
It's both. You can both screw it and also just push it.
The half sets?
What about
Ours won't. The ones that go to our pumps don't free flow. You need to actually have a little bit of pressure applied to them. So we would need to stock just a standard half set that's in the hospital.
Or you can just get like
We could get rid
just
of
a
the
12
fluid
inch or
warmer
18
then,
inch
right,
extension
everybody?
set.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
this
that's-
IVG.
Yeah. That's probably, that's what, like, from the hospital,
This is-
ours
yeah,
need like
this is-
1 millimeter mercury or whatever of
This
centimeter
one's
water pressure to open.
This is a 10.
Which if you had it on the fresh bank.
I wanted to see.
Is this something?
Does this
you wanna-
interfere with
If you
the
have that,
helicopter's
yeah.
avionics,
Yeah.
transponder, or any of the other
Like
stuff? So the US government, the DoD certifies everything, they take it down to
Yeah.
base in
Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Have you guys done that?
It's there now.
Yeah.
It's there now, okay.
It passed passed in flying colors what is called AFMESA test,
Yeah.
and now it's in Alabama finalizing
So it went through the Air Force test, and now it's going through the Army test. Since,
I mean, no, I think Alabama is also part of.
well, they have combined, yeah. So that's about $100,000 that the DoD spends to test a piece of equipment and to make sure that it's not going to interfere with any of the aircraft avionics and stuff. And they will work with the company to redesign it if it's needed. So if you look at the old ProPack, the old impact ventilator, which has been flight certified by the DoD, those all went have undergone that testing. I think the Zoll monitor has done
They do
that.
drop tests. think there's altitude, temperature tests that they do, it's a whole battery of.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. Thanks. So we already went through how do you prepare it for use, how you use it. As you can see, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I just want to go over the troubleshooting. Again, there's not much to it, just so you'll be familiar if you'll see any kind of message coming up. Over here, you can see QinFlow. This is the initials for it. Version 1.2, this is the version of the software in the base unit, is initializing, doing the initial check, just talking with himself. If the disposable unit is already connected, it's also communicating with the disposable unit. This is standard. Every time you'll turn on the system, you'll be able to see that. Excuse me. Over here, you can see system ready connected DU. I do want to make a small comment about it. The system doesn't really care how you assemble it. Okay, as long as you assemble it the right way, it doesn't really care about the configuration. Okay, so you can connect it to the disposable unit and then mount the battery. You can do this and turn it on and only then connect the disposable unit. Again, doesn't really care as long as you just mount everything the right way. So over here you can see system is already connected DU. This is in the case that you didn't connect the DU in advance. You can also see over here you asked about the battery. You can see the battery status. You don't really get percentage, but you'll be able to see when the battery is full, 3/4, 1/4, and also you'll get an indication when it's about to be depleted. You see over here you also have the audio. Excuse me. Now it's turned on. If you have a small line, you can mute it with the green button. So this is pretty much it about that. Heating, this is just a normal operation. Over here, incoming temperature, outgoing temperature. It's in Celsius degrees, as you can see over here. Again, this is just a normal operation of it. Change in flow, any kind of irregulation. We talked about backflow, we talked about kinks, any kind of air bubbles. It will tell you the change in flow. Again, a small comment about this. You only need to worry about changing flow if it sticks on it. Okay, sometimes you'll be able to see small blinks of changing flow. This is just the algorithm. It's always talking with himself. Okay, so sometimes it will predict I don't know, like a higher flow. Okay, incoming flow. So we'll just give you a small blink again. So just if it's a blinking kind of thing, that's fine. This is just the normal operation of the system. The system always talks with himself and also wants to talk to you. So this is just the way it is. Once it's stuck on changing flow, just search for any kind of kink. Search if you have any kind of bubbles, backflow. If maybe the IV bag is too low for the gravity flow. Just standard, checking of the line itself. If you didn't find any kind of problem with the line, okay. Just change the disposable unit. It will probably solve it. No display. This is happening just because the system doesn't get any kind of power. If you see that, try to mount a different battery, okay, a fully charged one. If you still have a problem with that, try charging the battery. Maybe both your batteries are depleted. And if you still have a fully charged battery and still get no display, just contact us and we'll try to take care of it as soon as possible. And now this is here. The different statuses of battery getting low. You've got batteries getting low. You've got when you see that you have about 25 to 30% of capacity. Let's just say if you're administrating blood at 4C, okay, you see this indication. You probably have 1 liter of blood left, okay, to administrate. Just because the 100% is 3 liters, 30% is roughly 1 liter, a little bit less than that. After that, you'll be able to see after a while battery is empty. This means that you have about 5 to 10% of battery charge. Only thing you need to know is this is the last message you see from the system, just telling you I'm about to turn off. Be ready for that. This is for your own consideration. If you want to just give like 3 30 less cc of fluids. Just let it flow. If you need to give another bag, just be ready for changing the battery. It also will give you audible indication. This one will be a little bit on the lower volume, and the battery is empty a little bit higher than that. Fluid is hot, also caused by any kind of backflow, air bubbles and kinks. The only difference in this is just the system is getting the fluids a little bit warm. Once it will get to 41 C, it will cut the heating. Okay, you will be still administering the fluids or blood, but it will not heat it any further than that. Okay, 41 C is 1 Celsius degree higher than what we commit to provide. Okay. So it will cut the heating. Again, just check the line, check if everything is okay. If everything is okay, change the disposable unit. You still experience this problem, contact us and we'll take care of it. Fluid temperature is cold. You don't get really the indication for temperature is cold just because it's not really common. You will get change in flow. This is usually caused let's say you gave a lot of warm fluids, excuse me, the other way around. You gave a small amount, let's say just KVO, okay, for a long time now, and now you're trying to push all together 200 mLs, okay? The system will have like 2-3 seconds of adjustments, okay, to get to the right temperature, okay? It's not immediate, it's just a matter of a few seconds. You'll see the change in flow, let it flow for a little bit. If you still get the change in flow, again, the same protocol, check everything. If everything is okay, change the disposable unit. Again, this is the only really way you can maintain the system or troubleshoot it. You don't really have a lot of things to deal with. This is this malfunction. You've got the system malfunction. This is the most scary one. Okay, it will scream at you right away. Okay, the system will not spare you. It's the easiest one. It's the easiest one to take care of. Okay. Usually, when you see something like this, it's just the system getting confused because you didn't flush the system. Okay. Again, it's designed to measure flow. Okay, flow with fluids. Once you've got air inside of it, it gets a little bit confused. Don't be scared. Okay. It's common user error. It takes 1 or 2 times to get used to it, and that's it. You just turn off the system, flush it, turn it on, and everything should be just a-okay. Okay, do you have any kind of questions so far about troubleshooting? Okay, great. Go.
So if it overheats and you go to, it's going above 41, it shuts the heating thing off, and then will it basically keep at 40, or does it not give any more heat? You didn't address it right away. So say I didn't see it because I couldn't hear it, and I didn't notice, I was dealing with another patient. What actually is going to happen if I did not address that at that time?
Well, the thing is, once it's cutting the heat, there's no more heating element taking place in the system right now. So it will drop the temperature, and once it will predict it's going back to the normal temperature, it will turn the heating on, and then just it will get to the normal operation. If you're experiencing any kind of recurring fluids are hot, so yeah, contact us. This is not how it's supposed to be. But sometimes, you know, just any kind of problem with the line itself usually causes this.
Can I add to that a little bit? The way the system is configured, every second it makes a decision how much more energy to provide. So instantaneously, when it notices that it should stop warming, it happens like immediately, it doesn't wait. So the system is really calibrated for 38 degrees Celsius, that's the target temperature. From various considerations of flow and utilization, it is plus minus 2. Whenever it senses that the outgoing temperature here is going to be more than 38, it will not give enough energy on the next turn of actually powering the heating element. Now, it might be the situation that the results of the hot fluid is a residual effect of changing flow. You give a lot of energy because you anticipate something based on the algorithm, but all of a sudden there is a kink, a backflow, whatever. And then you already gave too much energy, and we noticed it might get too hot at the end. Of course, we cut the next turning of the powering, and we will resume it when it stabilizes.
Yeah, the system is always monitoring temperature, always. It's always on the watch. So once it will predict something is going to happen, it will immediately address this problem. Like we said with the cold temperature, you get KVO and you get up to 200 mL. The other way around also applies, so you might get a lot of energy burst for a few seconds, and then it will calculate itself and just get right away to the right amount of energy it's supposed to deliver. Okay. Cleaning and maintenance. To be honest, on the maintenance side, just the batteries. Just keep the batteries charged. This is it. It's just the habit of it. Just getting off the aircraft, taking it to the storage, and charging it, and doing the swap. This is pretty much it I can say about it. Of course, keep the system clean. Okay, you've got the blood spill on it. You should keep it clean. You should always keep the LCD screen clean, so you won't get any kind of problems with visual indications. And that's it.
May I ask these guys a question? So for your helicopter here, is that, you say you have AC power in the helicopter, right?
We're plugged in on this helipad.
So when it's sitting there, everything is being charged maximum. So if you had this in the helicopter, mounted on the wall, when you plug in the thing, it should go right back to charge. Is that?
Well, from what I understand, you can't plug into that right now. So
Right
the
now.
way I think we'll be doing this is,
is what he was saying.
so right now is what we would do is we would have a charged battery in there. We would have one charging in our ready room. We swap batteries every Sunday. So weekly our batteries would be swapped, and then if we used it, I believe we would swap a battery.
That's a great habit. Doing it like that sounds good.
But we wouldn't have a way to charge it in the aircraft while flying.
No, but I mean, while it's sitting there, do you even need to take it out? I mean, if you're plugging in the helicopter.
It's more weight, 2 batteries and a charger, or even 1 battery and a charger.
No.
It's just more stuff in the aircraft.
Okay.
As far as cleaning the batteries, I take it where the 3 points are, you don't want to make contact as far as cleaning.
Yeah, that's
the
the
cleaning
thing.
solution.
When you see electronics, you usually want to avoid.
You just want to avoid
any
that.
kind. Yeah, it won't have any kind of problem inside of it as long as you don't get any kind of fluid inside of it. Actually, the system has an ingress protection 22. That means it's
good point.
very resilient for both dust and fluids. So as long as you've got everything connected, the system is very resilient for both rain and any kind of field work in the sense of dust. The only thing I would do want you to remember is once it's not connected, the electronics are exposed to the environment. So just put the cap on, and that's it. Okay, and then it's again protected. This is pretty much it about that. Maintenance, again, the maintenance, you don't really get maintenance. So just keep the batteries charged, and that's it. Let's see if we want to talk about the specifications or any kind of thing. I think. About the warning, this is just medical. It's a medical device. Okay, that's any kind of way you're dealing with medical devices, you should deal with that. The fact that it is resilient doesn't mean that you really should bash it on the floor or something like this. Okay, just use common sense. And the only thing I do want to mention is don't flow medicine through the system itself. Okay, this is just a regulatory kind of problem. Just because if you want to flow any kind of medicine through the system, just need to get certified for this medicine. So just getting all the medicines in the market is pretty insane and borderline impossible. What you can do is just flow it through the vent floor. If you've got the little box for the medicine, sometimes you've got the Y connectors with the place for the syringe. Just again, as long as it's after it's been heated, that's fine.
So we are working with FDA to get clearance to administer medicine on the claim that we never passed the 40 degrees Celsius. So, but that's a process.
So far, any kind of questions about the contraindications again? Okay. Okay.
Do you guys have the evaluation forms? So we're gonna trial these, but every time you use it, there's a quick evaluation form that they want us to fill out.
Yeah, we'll send everything.
You don't have that electronic?
Electronically, I can show you.
Okay.
I have a file with it.
I do want to show you, we've talked about the continuum of care just because this is a big part of the system itself, and again, the innovation of the system. I want to show you the diagram of the continuum of care aspect of it. Excuse me for that. Just 1 second. Could you help me with that? Just
I was waiting for
I know this technology. Okay. No, thank you. Okay. So yeah, as you can see over here, we have the entire continuum of care. We've got the point of injury, the transportation, and the facility, the hospital in this case. Throughout the entirety of the continuum of care, you can see you can use the base unit. Okay. The brain is the same throughout the entire continuum of care. If we're talking about battery solutions, we're talking a power solution. You've got the battery solution for the point of injury once you get to the patient, and the transportation. Once you make the handshake, you just give the hospital, and then we'll already have the AC casing. The thing you do with that is you just unplug it from the battery, you just plug it into the casing, the base unit itself, and that's it. And you've already done that.
Sorry. Does that AC casing, so these guys come in, I'm in the emergency room, we have that also in the emergency room, but I have the AC casing. If I now want to go to the CAT scanner, and then I'm going to the OR, does that have some battery life with it? Or?
Well, the thing is, in the AC casing itself, you also have a place underneath the casing itself to place the battery that way, so you can also charge it. Meanwhile, you're administering the fluid. And once you want to move somewhere, because we do know sometimes emergencies calls for portability, just take the battery out, take this one from the casing, plug it, and you run with it.
Okay.
I also want to show you over here. This is out of scope for now, but this is also a smaller battery, the battery light. We will be introducing it further down the line. This is for if you don't really need, if you know it's going to be a weaker transportation, or if you don't really need to administrate the full capacity of 3 to 5 liters, you can carry this one. It's way lighter. You can actually go ahead and fill it. There's roughly half. Pretty light, yeah. So it has pretty much half the capacity of warming fluid, but it also reduces 1 pound of it. So really, it makes it way lighter, and it really depends on what you need. Okay, we do want to give you the right devices for the right needs. Of course, that you can use it if you want to. In the point of injury, you let's say in the army, you've got a big backpack with a lot of equipment in it. You don't want to waste a lot of volume with the big battery. You can get the battery light, and then just when you get to the transportation, do again the exchange. It really depends on what you need. Okay, that's the thing. It's very, very dynamic for your own need. Moving on. And again, you've got a compact disposable unit. Again, it's less volume for people that needs to carry it on the back. And then in the transportation, it really depends on you. I know that a lot of people do like using the robust one in the transportation, just because it makes everything all together, you know. And in the hospital, for the AC casing, there's actually a place you can place the robust unit, so you don't really need to mess with it too much. And this is pretty much the continuum of care. Really, it's It makes everything pretty simple all along this process. It saves any kind of effort for you. Sometimes you don't need to give the base unit itself. You don't need to give the batteries and then make the communication to get everything back. It's very easy. Part of the simplicity, and of course, it also saves on cost because it's more specified for your need, and also you save on disposable units. Because it addresses all the continuum of care, you don't need different trainings for the different devices. It also saves time in training.
Let's try to move on.
Okay, yeah, you have a question?
So these compact devices that you're talking about that are coming out new, how do you mount those?
These ones, the compact DU.
Because
For
you're not
now,
going to be able to mount to that base unit, right? It's going to be a totally different system.
so this one, again, it's the same system, same technology, same everything. As you can see,
Oh, okay.
because it's very small,
So it's going to be hanging, so there's nowhere to support it or secure
Yeah,
it.
well, how would you secure it?
Yeah.
Just hang it?
You hang it or you put it closer to patient.
Oh, okay.
yeah, you can mount it on the patient itself. This is part of the reason that people, mainly in helicopters, you don't really have a lot of space. They like the robust system because it can mount on the base unit. Of course, we're always developing new technologies and new products, so we will probably in the future have some kind of mounting capability on the base unit for the compact DU, but for now this is how it comes. Any kind of other questions about the continuum of care? Any other questions about anything?
So is the ER going to carry these too, or no?
Okay.
We don't know.
Okay, so right now it's just us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm pretty much
Contraindications.
okay. Yeah. So for now, the one contraindication I want to mention. You don't really need to mention like the regular ones, right? Just the one. Again. Thank you. So the main contraindication for now is that for now you cannot administer plasma through the system. Okay, this is just FDA approval, kind of a regulation, and
It's kind of a big deal in this country.
Yeah,
it's already in the process. Okay? It's not.
Yeah, we know.
It's nothing like that. As you can already imagine yourself, the system can actually deliver whole blood. Okay, so it's not that the system doesn't have the capabilities of providing plasma. It's just a regulatory thing.
Yeah, I mean, it should be solved very. It's a technical issue that we believe it will be solved very, very fast, maybe before you get the systems or shortly after. So it's related to...
Just so we're all transparent here, our protocol, we give fresh frozen plasma first.
You give 1-1-1, right? Plasma.
Well,
2-2.
our protocol, we do, for adults only, we give them 2 units of FFP as our very first line.
Mhm.
Then we would go on to blood. But FFP, I mean, there's some evidence that FFP is probably, if you had to choose between pack cells and FFP for your initial hemorrhagic shock resuscitation, there's evidence that FFP has probably more efficacy. So.
Yeah, well, definitely. We do see the transition, the wide transition across the country between administrating a big amount of intravenous fluids to the different kind of approach of administrating plasma and blood and even whole blood. Again, this is just a...
But I don't think that's well noted, and we are working hard on it, and I hope that we'll get it very, very soon to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a technicality. That's pretty much it. Yeah, all the other contraindications are just standard contraindications. You know, just don't try to mess with the system. Don't try to configure the system in your own imagination ways. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty much it about it. Again, any questions about the contraindications? All right. You want to play with it a little bit? Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Okay, so we've got this one over here. No, I can.
Great. We're on tonight.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
Yeah.